guys, welcome back. We are on episode 10, which has absolutely flew by. There's just me and Kai today. Ooh, hey girl.
Hey.
So before we get anywhere, what a week Liverpool has had this week as we're champions. Wherever we are, we're champions.
You know, it's crazy because I always played football, always loved it. Well, obviously English football, American soccer. But yeah, it is mad, but it you have to tell me more about what is the history behind Liverpool football, because I obviously don't know, but people that are watching it probably do. So this is really just for me, but go on, Sadie.
It's so basically, right, we have waited 30 years to win the title. So obviously it was 30 years ago we last won the title. And then and then they scored, and that cost us the league. So there's been so many points along the way where we've come second, third, fourth. You know, we've had this steady thing, but we've never actually got to win it. So it's been 30 years, and we've finally won it. Do you know what? It just means so much to people, because in Liverpool, football is such a massive culture. You know, you just have to, there's two stadiums, you know, two teams right across from each other, and Liverpool's split, you know, there'll be one section Liverpool and one section's Everton. You know, it's funny. Honestly, it's funny because if you go to obviously I used to live in London, so if I'd meet anyone in London or speak to anyone, they'd be like, oh, you're a red or a blue, and it'd be this big thing of what team you support and stuff. So it's such a massive culture, and it means a lot to some people. Obviously, you know, they've waited 30 years. We've won other things obviously in between them, but the league is a big one for us. So it was an amazing moment. So we won it on Thursday. So if Chelsea had won against City, we ended up winning. So it was amazing, because obviously you'll remember this moment for well, I know I would, and my kids would remember this moment for the rest of their lives. So we went to my dad's, and my dad opened all his windows in his living room, and so the TV's in front of the window. So he opened all the windows, he put benches and chairs in his front garden, so the whole street was watching the game through me.
Oh my God, really?
Hilarious, yeah. So there was kids driving past, and they'd stop at the gate and they'd be like, oh, what's the score? You know what? And it's it's funny because so we live in Speke, which is a predominantly white area, and my dad's obviously black, so he stands out like a sore thumb. But it's funny because, I mean, he's never had anything bad happen, but it's funny because Liverpool literally brings everybody together. You know, so like I said, there's people walking past that had never even met my dad before, or, you know, didn't even know him, would stop oh, what's the score? And they'd stay and watch for 5 minutes, and the garden was full, and the kids were running around with the flags. And I thought, oh, it's such a nice feeling. And, you know, it's a little sense of a community kind of almost. So it was really, really good. Did you watch the Chelsea game?
You know what? I actually had no idea that the game was on. Like I said before, I've loved football my whole life, but when I moved here, I really felt like it's a different kind of community and feeling. And even I think from the early days of when I've lived in Liverpool, 3 years ago, gone to the pub to watch a game, and I just always felt like it was a bit for me, because I just am generally uncomfortable in a mass crowd of white people. So I always felt every time I've been to the pub to watch a game, sports pubs, maybe it would be different at a pub that's not a sports pub, but I always felt very about watching the game, and I felt people, especially because I'm American, people feel I don't know anything about football, but I'm I've literally played for more than 10 years, so I literally know everything about it. So yeah, I had no idea that the game was even on, but I think last week I was in the park, and some man just comes up to me, and he was asking me if I support Liverpool. And I was like, listen, I'm not saying I don't support Liverpool because I live here. And even one time I was asked to model the away jersey for Liverpool. And I was exactly. And I was I'm not going to say that I don't, but at the same time, I'm not a massive putty head, you know what I mean?
That's
But
yeah.
yeah, so I didn't watch the game.
No, do you know what? It was a good game. I mean, obviously, I follow the football because obviously my kids play it. And
Yeah.
it's so big for them because it's something that they'll remember forever. So obviously the part they play for Liverpool Academy as well. So they make like a massive deal out of it. Like we've got like online Zoom parties next week where all the kids have got to come. They've ordered all the kids a trophy, but you know, like a balloon in the shape of a trophy.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. So it's like again, it comes back to that like community thing. Even like when you go to the match, like I've never watched it in a pub. I've always either watched it at home or gone to the match. But even going to the match is just, the atmosphere is just unreal. You know, you ask anyone the amount of time, like there's football awards that obviously the first team win, and the amount of times Liverpool have won like best atmosphere in a stadium is like, they've won it so many times. It's like actually unreal. But there's nothing beats being in that stadium, it being absolutely full, and everybody, and I mean everybody, singing "You'll Never Walk Alone." It's unreal. You get I've got goosebumps now even thinking about it. You can't even see it. Honestly, it gives me shivers and everything. And the songs, it's just unbelievable. I can't even describe it. I think you've just got to experience it. So my pact to you is to take you to a Liverpool game.
You know what, Sadie? I was just thinking, I was like, you'll have to just take me to a game in the actual stadium, because I really just am period uncomfortable in pubs. So I'm like, maybe the pub game is not for me. Like maybe I just need to be at the stadium. So we're going. I'm
Let
here
it
for
all go. Get yourself down to Anfield and we'll have an absolute
honestly ball. I'm a different person when it comes to football. Like I feel like generally, you know, I'm quite like an energetic person, but I'll be screaming my head off. Trust me.
Good, you're the same as me. I am the same. Listen, my dad has to kick me out. You know, if I go and watch the match and my dad, he's like, can you just go sit in another room a minute? Because I'm like, that, pass the ball. Why would you do that? My dad's like, literally, you don't know what you're talking about. I am like, I am the new manager of Liverpool. Don't watch me. It's so, he's like, that, right, you're going to have to go. My dad's like dead serious. Like, you know, right, come on, we're watching the match. And I'm like, Dad, no, you're not in the right position. Why are you stood there? He's like,
oh my God, literally me, Sadie.
Oh,
literally me.
But we went to I took the kids down to Anfield after we won on Thursday. Oh my God, it was unreal. I felt like I was in
was it though?
A movie.
It was so packed. I only live a little, like not that far away from Anfield because I live in Kenny, don't I? So I've seen how busy it was on the street, and I was like, what's going on? And then people are beeping, and I was like, oh, the Premier League. it clicked in my head, and I was like, oh, okay. But like some of the videos that I've seen, honestly, it was really mad how many people were in the streets. But at the same time, I get it. You know, Liverpool has won the Premier League, and you know, 30 years of her, all that stuff. I get it. But there was like, I don't even know how many people were in the streets, and it was all over the city. It wasn't just in Anfield. Like it was all over. So I personally am like, people should not be gathering, but at the same time, I get it because people want to celebrate. And that's like a positive thing. But it's a lot during this pandemic. And don't you think that like it's literally gone from nobody can go anywhere, nobody can see anyone, to like literally like it's gone from 0 to 100.
Yeah. See, but this, I get that whole, you know, obviously we are still in the middle of a pandemic, but I think if it's down to people's priorities, I don't know if that's the right word.
Priorities, I'm dead.
Priorities. And listen, I can tell you now, there's nothing stopping a Scouser from celebrating Liverpool's league.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, in Liverpool, it is actually a priority. Like, I think it is actually a priority for Scouts people.
100%. It means a lot to them. But, you know, it's the same with anything. You know, it's like some people felt super strongly about the Black Lives Matter and felt that they had to go to them protests. You know, you could say the same thing in that situation. You know, people, the same way people felt the emotion and the drive and the need to do the Black Lives Matter, that is one for one person, but then the next person might think, well, actually, I actually want to celebrate Liverpool winning more. You know, so it's what people prioritise more in terms of what they want to be there for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it, but I think, it's not really a good comparison, because like the Black Lives Matter movement is for humanitarian change, whereas like going out to celebrate that Liverpool won is like, yeah, I get it, it's a big deal for Scousers, but it's not on the same level as Black Lives Matter. Like, you just can't compare it. It's not the same thing.
See, I disagree. I think, don't get me wrong, I don't mean for its values. I'm not comparing its values, but I'm talking about personally for some people. It means a lot to some people to win.
Right, like how passionately they feel about it. On that stance, yeah.
Yeah,
well, I
don't
like
mean
values.
Not values. No, not values, because obviously that's completely different. That's I don't mean that. I mean for some people, it means a lot to them. People, the same way some people feel really passionate about the Black Lives Matter. I'm not talking about values. The passion in it, and the want to go out there to be together with people and come together and have that community sense. That's what the same people in the football world feel. Don't mean values, but at all. It's completely two different spectrums of of everything. Don't mean that at all. I just mean in people's passion, it means so much more to some people than it does to others. I took the boys down to Anfield, and it was chocker. People weren't social distancing, but you know what? In that moment, it felt like the right thing to do. Everyone was happy. There was no negativity, no tension. You could tell people were carefree in that moment. It's like they got caught up in the songs. Everyone had flares, the atmosphere. Literally, I was walking around and I just had goosebumps, and I was just stood there, with a big smile on my face and my flag, like, woo, having a ball. But I chose to take the kids because that's something that they're going to remember. If we don't win it for another 30 years, they'll remember that for the next 30 years. Like I said before, they're part of the Liverpool Academy, so they're going to have so many memories from winning. It's such a big part of their life as well. So that was obviously why I took them. But obviously there is still a pandemic going on, probably not the best, but it's hard to stop some things.
I get it completely. Like, I'm not, I can't tell anybody what to do. I can only have my own opinions about stuff, and obviously me and you don't feel the same way about football. Like, I'm like, I could take it or leave it. You're like, it's a die-hard thing for you, and I get that, and I respect that, and like, that's your own choice. Like, I think there's been so many times, like, over the pandemic, especially because, like, for so long, I was really like, I'm not going out, I'm not doing anything, I'm not seeing anyone, and then it's weird because as soon as like the Black Lives Matter protests and stuff hit, I was just like, I'm going out, bye everyone. So I get it, and I can't, and me personally, I cannot sit here and tell anybody like what they should and shouldn't do, because I've been in the park. Look at me, I'm tan. Look at the last video I was in, and look at me now, I'm brown. So like, I've been out, so I get it, and like, it is a global pandemic, but I don't think like anybody even has the answers. Like, nobody has the answers of like what's right and what's wrong right now, because we have to take in the fact that people feel a certain way. So, and that's like the big thing of it, isn't it?
So obviously with all the positivity side of the celebrations and everything that's been going on, there's obviously that negative side, and there's the people who have got to ruin it and try and deter away from what everyone was trying to celebrate. So there was the boys who actually went from Liverpool. I don't even know if they were Liverpool supporters, but I know they went from Liverpool, who lit the firework at the Liver buildings. The reason we've done that is because it's the Liver buildings, the majority stakeholders in Evertonian, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. I think it's stupid. I think it's pathetic. I think it's just taken away from what everyone's doing, and just puts a bad name. I know people in Liverpool a lot of the time get a bad name anyway, and we've got that stigma, of things anyway. So I think it just makes it worse than what it was when actually they weren't there for the right reasons. There's probably thousands of people there and there was that, you know, that little minute section that then, you know, tries to ruin it for everyone, which is a shame, really.
Yeah, it is. It's so weird, isn't it? Because it literally is the same thing with like the Black Lives Matter protests. Like, especially in America, there was like literal police there that were like smashing windows, breaking car windows and stuff. And it's like, then the Black Lives Matter protest gets like a bad name. So that's a weird comparison.
Yeah.
Not a comparison, but it's a weird like similarity between the two. But yeah, I understand. Like, yeah, Liverpool does always get a bad rap, and even like what I was saying before is like, obviously I work in L1, and our store, even though we've got like loads of Morphe stores, I say we as if I own the company, I just work there, but we've got loads of stores like all over the country and like all over the world, but like we always get a bad rap as Liverpool. Like from the UK side of stuff, like we always get such a bad rap, and it's like I love Liverpool, and I feel like I've, you know, achieved so much living here. I just don't really understand it, but I get like, I guess that's like me kind of being a naive American person, because obviously I've not lived here my whole life and I don't understand what it's really about. But yeah, like Liverpool always does get a bad rap for stuff.
Yeah, I don't know where that comes from either, but I know like sometimes like when I'm in London and stuff, and like people out there like, oh, you're not going to rob my bag, are you? And you're like, why would I rob your bag? Like, you know, come on.
No.
And it's I don't know where it's come from. I don't know whether it started with something, I don't know, but I know that they always have that bad reputation when it comes to houses. But it's funny what you were saying before with obviously with the Black Lives Matter movement and the similarities. It goes back to what I was saying before about they're both believing in something, and they're both doing what they think's best in terms of, you know, they want to celebrate Liverpool win, and Black Lives Matter obviously is, you know, trying to get a greater good for. But it's funny because the more you could go into it, the more actually, okay, take away the values again, but what they're doing is very similar. So, you know, meeting up in crowds, you know, peacefully, okay, you were peacefully protesting, but, you know, the Liverpool supporters were, you know, singing songs and, you know, and happy to. It's funny because they're very similar, minus the values. They're very similar in the things that they were doing. So you can probably talk about it for days in that sense.
Well, yeah, one of my friends on Facebook made a status saying that because Liverpool has won the Premier League and they're on top, you know, of the world, like the world has their eyes on Liverpool, don't they? Like one of my friends was saying they should use this opportunity to say something, to use their voice to progress in the Black Lives Matter movement, because obviously people from the Liverpool team have obviously been speaking out about it. I personally think that it is good because so many people, especially like Scousers, always want to say, like, you know, they're not racist. They've chased, you know, EDL out of Liverpool before and all that. And I think honestly, right now is a great opportunity for Liverpool to like use their voice to actually further that movement. And I think so many more people would have so much more, like, not that people don't have respect for Liverpool, but they would have so much more respect for Liverpool because they would be doing that. Yeah. And I hope that is part of like something that they do, but who knows?
I do agree with you, Kai, in terms of, you know, I think the footballers now need to use their platform, you know, to obviously spread different messages. And I think the Black Lives Matter movement is probably the most apt one, and, you know, to get onto. So I know Trent, who plays for Liverpool, so he's a Scouse who was born in West Derby, I think. So he had a pair of boots. So the first game that we played coming back, he had a special pair of boots designed. And it had Black Lives Matter written on the side of, you know, of his football boot with the fist in like a white print. So it was a black boot and the white, and then he's auctioned them off, and all proceeds are going to go to, I think he said the Black Lives Matter. I should have mentioned it, but I can't remember exactly that where he said he was going to donate, but all proceeds are going to go to the Black Lives Matter movement. So I think they are doing things. And I think even just as champions, I think once they've got over the celebrations, then I think that's when all that will kick in. But I know there are footballers that are actively doing stuff, which is good. Enough about Liverpool winning the league, because I could be here talking about it all day, as I'm sure everybody else in Liverpool could. But obviously there's a lot been going on in the past week. So I think the biggest one for everybody is obviously all the shops opening, reopening back up. non-essential shops opening up. So the main image and the thought that comes to mind is the people camping outside Primark. I just don't understand it. I'm all for going to shop. If you need something, then fine, I get that. But camping outside Primark, I'm confused. What exactly
do you need? It's a bit much when, like, I understand because you can't get stuff from Primark, like, online. I get it. But at the same time, is it really that serious? Like, people really are dying to, like, be out of the house, which is something that I could never understand because, in general, I'm really okay to just, like, not be around people. But there's even people, like, I think it's mad when I go into town and there's people literally queuing to get a beer from, a bar or something. And then they just come back out in the street and, like, drink it on the street. What kind of weird, like, society are we living in now? It's really strange. It's really weird. Like, really weird.
That I can understand the kind of the beer side of it, because that obviously is related closely to socialising. So I understand that a little bit more than camping outside Primark. But I think it goes back to, like, what you said, if people are desperate to get out of the house, they've been in for, are we on our 4th month now? Is it March, April, May, June? So, we're coming into our 4th month, and some people, like you said yourself, up until whenever, have been in and, not gone out and not moved. So for them to then be able to go, and especially if the weather's nice, be able to go and get a drink where you'd normally be going sit in, like, a beer garden, or, you'd go and, take a picnic to the park or whatever. So I kind of get that side a little bit more of people out of wanting to socialise and meet up with the friends and, have a little bit of normality, if you like. So I get that a little bit more than the camping outside Primark. I struggled with that one to understand what you could be there at 6 o'clock in the morning for to get from Primark that you can't get from, Asda, Tesco, all your supermarkets have all got your necessities in terms of, underwear, pyjamas, socks, slippers. I don't get what you've gone to Primark for. And it's not even as if they had a big massive sale where you can say, I was going to get a bargain, because they said they weren't putting any sales on. So that I kind of didn't understand. But just in terms of going to shops in general, though, I actually don't mind it. I've been to a few shops. I've been to IKEA and I've been to TK Maxx. But that's only that I needed something. I weren't going for, like, a browse or for,
Well, like, exactly. I'm the same way. Like, I've been to TK Maxx, the Edge Lane, like the Superdrug and the Boots. Like, I just been in that Edge Lane one only, like, one day, though. It was literally a couple days ago. I was dying for shorts because it was literally 30 degrees outside. So I was like, I have to just get a pair of shorts because I can't wear pants. Like, what am I going to do? I was dying for that, and I needed hair products. Like, look at my hair. You think I can just go and wash my hair with herbal essences and be okay? Like, that's not a vibe. Like, I have to actually get stuff. So I get it. Like, if you really need certain things, I understand. But, like, if you're just going just to go out of the house, like, there's other things that you can do, like, outside of that house where you're not putting other people, like, at risk.
Completely get out. Like I said, I've only been out for stuff that I've needed, and it generally tends to be where I've been home and I've decorated and say, like, I need, I don't know, a picture frame to finish off my table, or I need I'm currently doing my living room, so I need a new lampshade and other little bit, just little bits that I think, I could do with that just to finish off that room that I've, decorated while we've been on lockdown and I've not been able to find anything that I like online. And that's the only thing that I've been out for. What we've got to commend the shops for and the retail outlets is they've completely changed their whole way of running their business. Queuing up outside, that means that they've got to have a member of staff on the door. Now, that means that that's one less member of staff out on the shop floor. So is that an extra staff that they've took on, which is then obviously an added cost to the business? There's so much that they've had to change. They've had to get all the screens implemented, on the checkouts, the plastic screens, and all the stickers on the floor, the info around the shops and stuff like that. All comes at a cost, and from what I've seen, prices haven't increased as of I mean, maybe in the future, but I do think that businesses have dealt with it well in terms of managing as best they can to adapt to this new normal that we've got going on.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like businesses go and stuff, I think there are obviously, you know, it's good that people are implementing things. That's kind of like the law at the minute, isn't it? Like you have to have, if you only have a certain amount of space, you can only have a certain amount of people in there. Like, fine. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know how I feel about it, because like I work in makeup and I know for a fact that like makeup is not like an essential thing. I get it. We're like trying to move back to normal, but I personally feel like it's really moving very, very fast. Like the pubs are open on July 4th. That's literally next weekend. That's next weekend. And like, I'm sorry, but people are not going to be social distancing. Like, we know that we've seen people in the park not social distancing. Like, so it's, I really just, I don't know. I honestly think it's moving too fast. And then me, you know, obviously we know that from what the government has actually said, that Black people are actually disproportionately affected by coronavirus. So even me, I feel like I'm at risk. I'm at a higher risk. Even though obviously I want like stuff to get back to normal, but I don't know. I don't have the answers. Like I really don't have the answers, but I really am like, I'm weary of it. I'm not going out. I'm not going to the pub. Well, first of all, I don't even like going to the pub anyway. So
same.
But like, you know what I mean? I'm not going out. I'm just not going out. Like, if I really want to see my friends and like do something, I would rather go to my friend's house where I know it's like a secluded thing, rather than to like go to a public like an enclosed space where loads of other people are there. I don't know where they've been. I don't know who they've been touching. Like, I'm not here for it.
Yeah, see, the pubs part surprised me, because that's almost the same as opening the clubs. You know, it's the same industry. I think it comes under hospitality. But for you to maintain social distancing inside a pub is going to be nigh on impossible. I don't know how.
Non-existent.
So that one surprised me, but there's just little things that, I mean, again, no one's got the answers. You know, it's never happened before, so it's not like we can say, right, well, we've done this all wrong, and, you know, this is how it was done last time and this worked. So I suppose it is trial and error, which isn't good, because you're dealing with people's lives and, you know, their health is affecting and, you know, killing people. But there's just little things like I've seen, again, it could be not true, but it was a post on Instagram, and it was in the House of Commons, and they were debating pay increases for NHS staff and support workers, obviously through what's gone on in the pandemic, you know, pandemic, as you know, like a bit of a way back to, you know, to thank them kind of thing. And there was 20 MPs in the House of Commons. Now, to me, that should be the most debated topic, or one of the most debated topics. The whole world used to clap at Thursday at 8 o'clock for the NHS and frontline workers. So why is it then that only 20 MPs have turned up to debate that? Is that because they're not passionate about it? Is it because they're scared to go back to because that's their place of work? Are they scared to go back to their place of work? Have they only got limits on who can be there? And if that's the case, obviously don't know the reasons why, but if it was one of them later too, i.e. it's they're scared to go back, then what makes them think then that that's okay to open pubs and to let then the rest of the population put themselves at risk? Because if you say the pubs are open, people are going to go. You know, if you say they're closed, you can't go. So it's just little things like that that just make you think, well, actually, what is, you know, the reason for opening the pubs? You know,
there's just so many variables that come into play, though. It's like, okay, so say if I owned a pub, obviously if I owned a pub, I want to get my pub open because that's my revenue, that's my source of revenue. But like at the same time, it's risking people's lives as well. And I personally think it's a slap in the face to the people that work for the NHS and key workers, because like we're still in the middle of a pandemic and pubs are open. Like I feel like that should be the last place. That should be the last place to open.
Yeah. Well, that I understand. Pubs,
if they were able to like sell drink but not have people inside, because having people inside is a completely different thing than just being able to sell drink. Like if they could sell drinks, then like I'd feel more safe about that. Me personally, am I giving my money there? No. But you know, I think that there's just I think that there's just better ways to go about it. But I don't know. If I worked for the NHS, I'd feel offended. I'd actually feel offended that the pubs are opening next weekend. That's way too fast. Like, when you look at Australia... Sorry, go on, Sadie.
I was just going to say, it's just such a high risk, so I completely agree with you in terms of the NHS.
When you look at what's happened in Australia, they barely had any, you know, cases of coronavirus. Like, they were actually so safe about it. Their pubs have just opened just now, like last week. And we're literally following them up within a week when we've literally not had the same circumstances as Australia. Like, it's too much. It's too much. I honestly think it's too much.
Yeah, no, I agree. But saying that, though, on the flip side, I am looking forward to a good night out. I can't wait. Wait. But God knows when that's going to be. I really don't know when that's going to be.
I don't know if I can join in you. I can come and do your makeup, but I'm not.
I'm going to book in. You can do my makeup. After that, eyelashes, makeup, hair, new outfit, new shoes, new accessories. I am going all out. But I'm not hopeful for it this side of the year. I'd be lucky if the club's open in 2020.
Yeah, exactly. I'm saying by, you know, the time my birthday rolls around, which is like 8 months from now, then I might be ready to take that first step out. I might be ready to dip my toe in the water at that time.
I mean, I'm not itching for it in terms of like the day the club's open, I'll be there. I'm not that desperate to get there, but once they open and, you know, you can kind of see how they're doing things, because it's going to be different to what we expect. It's going to be this new normal that we're talking about, and it'll be interesting to see how they implement that. So, you know, like when the queue to get in, is that going to be all 2 meters apart? Like, you know.
But do you think club culture is going to change at all? Like, people inside the club are still going to want to approach each other. People go out to, like, see other people, to, like, you know, pull some men or, like, whatever. I'm just saying, if I was a single person, which I'm not, thank God, I don't know if I could be on the pull on a night out, like, in the pandemic. Like, are you not? What? Oh, my God.
Well, there's just so many things, even like just thinking about like drinks. So obviously your drink is in a cup, you know, in a glass. Are they going to change to plastic cups? So is everyone going to have plastic cups in the cups so they can be disposed of? Or,
well, you know, then that's worse for the environment. It's like, that's bad for the environment. Then you got these glass cups and everybody's freaking lip gloss has been on it. Like, you know, you know, when you go to eat and, like, you get a glass and it's actually, like, a smudge of, like, a lipstick still on it. No, that's Corona. That's Corona. That's Corona.
Bye.
We're not doing it. We're not doing it.
But literally. It's all these... But even, I suppose it's going to be the same in the pubs, isn't it? You know, what are they going to do? I mean, I've seen a few places in London that have been serving beer. So they've just opened like the front of the pub and they just, you know, serve beer through the front door, kind of almost. And that was all with plastic cups. But then, like you say, then plastic cups aren't biodegradable. So they're just going into landfill, which
we're just messing everything up.
We've made this big, massive change as a country to change from plastic straws to paper straws to save the environment.
Yeah.
And now we're just going to take a massive step back and completely undo all of that work and potentially go to plastic cups. I mean, we don't know if that's actually going to happen. Obviously, that's what's been happening so far. It's just crazy. I think you could
maybe we can implement this thing where, like, people just bring their own cup. Like, maybe people can literally just have their own thing. And, like, you just hold it, and then the bartender just pours it for you. Then they don't have to touch the cup. They don't have to touch it. Like, because honestly, this whole plastic cup thing, like I've been, you know, against it since day one. I'm like, okay, I understand businesses are open, but like we need to still be thinking about the environment, because that's the whole reason why we stopped using plastic in the first place, because it's bad for the environment. Like you want a planet to live on, right? We can't just keep using plastic. So I'm saying maybe there needs to be, if there's a pub in Liverpool that is saying bring your own cup, like you know, like with a growler, you know, you can like buy a growler thing, or maybe you guys don't do it here, but in America, you can buy this thing and it's like a growler. It's like a liter of beer, but you just reuse the same one every time, and you can get it from like, right? So if you just did that, and maybe they give you like, oh, if you bring your own cup, then you can get 25p off, 50p off of a pint. Come on.
Yeah. But did you do that? You do that in festivals? You pay a pound. I know they do it in Glastonbury. You pay a £1 deposit. You get your cup, and then when you give your cup back, you get your £1 back. And you just keep reusing the cup. But again, how sustainable that is long term. Like, imagine you come out and then you leave your cup somewhere, and then you've got to then go out and buy a new cup, and then, you know, is it worth it just for the sake of going to a pub? You know, so there's just so many things. I think you could be there all day debate, and I think that's another reason why I'm quite a little bit like, wow, have you open? Because somebody in the government somewhere sat down and had this conversation that me and you are having. You know, how we going to limit risks? You know, we're going to do this. And someone said, yeah, that's fine. You know, we can do this, and this, and it's gonna please everyone. Like, I don't understand where it's been approved. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, though, you know, the government officials don't represent it. I mean, especially me, I'm a very, very progressive kind of person. I know that there's MPs out there that are not representing my views. There's definitely MPs that are like, we don't give a fuck about the plastic cups. Like, just do it, go, push it forward. And I think, you know, probably that comes from more of like a pro-business kind of thing, rather than like pro-environment or whatever.
It's trying to build the economy back, isn't it? That's what I mean. I think that's going to be a lot of the issue. A lot of the reasons why they do things now is to grow the economy back up, which you get because the economy has got to grow back up. You know, with my job, I kind of get to see that business side of it as well. You know, and how it affects us. You know, just little things like the exchange rate. So we buy all our stock in dollars. So that exchange rate has been absolutely awful while everything's been going on, because our economy is so weak, so therefore our pound's weak. So instead of, just a random example, say a cushion, it's like, let's say before the pandemic we were buying the cushion at $5. That's now gone up to $7 because of the exchange rate. So I see that flip side to it. Obviously I see everything else, but I see that business side to it, that actually it is having and it will continue to have an impact on us until we can start to build things back up. But again, it's one small segment in that whole circle of, you know, getting the world back to normal, isn't it?
Right. But at the same time, right before the pandemic, the UK left the EU, so that's going to affect the economy as well, like even worse than the pandemic. So realistically, like, we're going into a massive recession, and I think that it's going to be, it's definitely going to affect our day-to-day lives. Like, it already has affected my day-to-day life. My hours have been cut at my work. Some people have been made redundant from their positions, and like all of this stuff. And then on top of that, Brexit. It's not a good story. It's not a good story.
Forget pubs. Forget that. Let's talk about the Huns. When are we getting back together again? Because I missed everyone.
I know. Like, it's so weird, because actually I saw Malika for the first time in person at the Black Lives Matter protest, and I was like, I was shocked. I was like, wait, like, I actually have never met you in real life, even though I've been on Zoom for so many times. So it's weird. It's so weird. Like, I hope that we can all get together like soon, because we've grown so close to each other since the pandemic has happened, hasn't it?
Yeah, God, massively. I mean, before this, we was seeing each other. So, God, sometimes it was twice a week, wasn't it? Well, I can't even remember. It was that long ago. But we were seeing each other all the time, and it's been it's been so weird to still keep in touch with everyone but not actually see them face to face. It's been a very weird situation, but I think we're all overdue a catch up and a meet and maybe a long distance hug. Can do an imaginary hug like this.
I mean, Sadie, we've been talking about it for so long. Like, we gathering at your house. Like, stop playing these games. Come on.
We're having our Hun festival in my garden.
Literally. I'm just saying. By the time that the pubs are open, I'm saying Sadie's festival needs to be happening. So.
Oh no, I do miss all the girls though, and it'd be nice to get back together and have a good, nothing beats, I mean, I'm all for face, over the phone and stuff, but nothing beats a good face-to-face catch up and a good laugh and, a good catch up with the girls. So I miss
absolutely. I know.
I will think of a date for the Hun Festival for us, and we will have to get together. We'll have a good catch up, a good little gossip, see what's going on in everyone's life, and then maybe we could do like a live stream from our Hun Festival.
Ooh, yeah, that would actually be really good. Just get us all together in a little screen, and
we can all record ourselves and get. So if anybody listening would like to join into our live stream of our Hun Festival, send us a comment in the section down below. Well, it's been lovely to catch up with you today. We had a good little gab. It's made me happy to talk about Liverpool, my team, and my boys' team. And yeah, I don't think I'll be going shopping anytime soon, but I'm overdue another trip to TK Maxx. So I think that's on the cards soon.
True.
But yeah, so anyone who's got any comments or any topics that they'd like us to discuss or anything, feel free to just send us all a message. We're on Instagram and Twitter, Hun Podcast. Make sure you give us a follow. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Turn on the notifications so you know when we've posted a video. And feel free to send lots of love. We love you all.
Yes. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye, love.